Welcome to this video on translating verbal phrases. By the end of this video, you should be able to take an algebraic expression and write it in words. So let's remember before we begin that order is very important if we are subtracting or if we are dividing. But it's not as important when we are multiplying or when we are adding. So what I mean by that is when we see an expression, adding and subtracting, it makes a difference the order in which you put the words. Remember, we had turnaround phrases that change the order, so make sure you refer back to the turnaround phrases to help you with this. All right, so we're going to translate these algebraic expressions into word phrases. So we have a 5 and an n. So these are two terms, one term, and there are two factors that are multiplying together. So we have to talk about the multiplying right here. So I'm going to give myself a little note. I've got an addition here. So I need to say, think of my addition words. So we had sum, we had, let's see, at our list here, we had a whole list of them. Sum, total, plus, increased by, more than. So we want to keep one of those in mind. And then we have a 3. So we have the product of 5 and a number n, maybe, or 5 times some number n. That we could do that. And then we got addition. So we could choose any of these. How about we'll use a turnaround phrase. That's this is one that keeps popping in my head. 3 more than, that's that turnaround phrase. So we'll say 3 more than 5 times a number n. Now, this is not the only way we could have written this. It's just the way we chose. There was multiple other ways we could have done this. So that's what can be hard about this is there's more than one answer and they can all be correct. It's just, does this mathematically mean the same thing as what I started with? So that's what you really want to make sure that you're checking into. So let's try it again. So we have a 9, a plus, an m. So looking at my list, I'm adding again, so I'm looking at it. I don't use sum a lot, so let me try that. How about the sum of 9 and m? You're just wanting to convey the operations that are going on and the pieces and the terms that are being used within these operations. All right, well, let's look at some more here. So we have x minus 5. So now we want to use subtraction. So I'm going to look at my subtraction list here. I can use any of these words. If I use less than or subtracted from, I have to remember that I got to change the order, which would mean in this case that this 5 would have to be mentioned first and then the x. So let's try less than, and we'll go with a turnaround phrase so we can kind of get used to that. So we can say, we're changing the order, so it ends in 5, so we're going to start with 5. 5 less than x. So we can go back and look. 5 less than x, this is some number x minus 5. So that would mean 5 less than x. And we could have said 5 less than some number x. We could have said x decreased by 5. There's any number of things as long as this phrase matches what this expression is saying. All right, let's take a look at number 4. So on 4, I see some parentheses. So let's remind ourselves our parenthesis phrases here. So we have the sum of, the difference of, or the difference between. So which one are we going to have to do? Oh, well, so we've got the sum. Okay. How about the sum of 6 and a number x. Oh, and then we have minus 2. So how do we want to do that minus part? Decreased by 2 we could do. That could work. We could use a turnaround and say 2 subtracted from the sum of 6 and a number x. So we'll just, we'll go with not a turnaround words because we're already using a quantity. So we got a couple different things here. So we'll say the sum of 6 and a number x decreased by 2. So the sum of 6 and a number x is referring to this parenthesis portion. And decreased by is your subtraction, and 2. All right, let's take a look at number 5. 5 is division. That's a fraction. Fractions are division. So let's take a look at our division words. Okay. So we have quotient, separate, divided by, half, or third. Well, half or third means you're dividing by 2 or 3, so we can't use either of those. This isn't going to, because we're starting out and with this phrase, separate might not be, that might be better if we were starting at the word problem coming the other way. Let's go with the quotient of Now remember, order is very important when you're dividing. So you read them in order top to bottom. So the quotient of a number b and 0.2. And that's it. We just read them in order and said quotient, so now we can tell that it's dividing. All right, one last one for us. We have some subtraction going on, and we've got parentheses also. So let's look at our parentheses words. Okay, and we've got our subtraction. So a number x, oh, you know what we haven't used? We haven't used the difference yet right here on subtraction. Let's try that one. I try to mix them up so I'm not always writing the same thing every time. So we could say the difference between what? X and, okay, so X and what? Are we talking about the sum of something, the difference of something, or the difference between? It's adding. So the difference between X and the sum of 10 and y squared. Okay, so hopefully you see how much this is related to what we talked about previously. Make sure you refer back to those notes too. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in class.